What's going on, everybody? Coach Stefan here. I'm with one of our clients, Maritza, has been in our program, what, about 6 months-ish now?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Do you mind introducing yourself, letting people know what you do for work, and then we'll kind of dive in just so people have some context.
Yeah, my name is Maritza. I currently live in Colorado, so now I work here as a crime scene investigator.
Yeah. And you said you moved from like Houston a little bit
Yeah,
ago, right?
yeah. So I lived in Houston for about 3 years or so, and that's where I started like my crime scene experience. And then I figured I was like, I can move to a different state now that I have more experience and I know how to
Yeah.
crime scene works.
Yeah, yeah. So I know part of the reason you joined the program we were chatting before was just sounded like it was also just kind of a fresh start thing. Like I moved and with that I want to get to like know people and get out more and just kind of like flip that chapter in my book. So walk me through, I guess, where you were when you first joined Pursuit. Because I know this was a first experience for you having an online coach, right?
Yeah, so like I had moved out here and I obviously didn't know anybody. And so my biggest mindset was like, I don't have any distractions at this point, and I also don't have any excuses as to like why I can't do certain things or
Yeah.
try new things. And so that was my biggest aspect of like, let's try something I've never done,
Yeah.
and kind of just see how it goes. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. And so I knew being like physically active is something that I wanted to like pursue, but I just didn't know where to start. Like I didn't understand the basics of like what exercises I should be doing, or like how to build a workout plan or anything like that, or what I should be eating. And so I figured like if I had that coaching experience or just like having there someone who has all that knowledge, it's not such of a burden for me to like try to figure it out, and then maybe I would be more consistent or more motivated to like be able to do that and get those things accomplished.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think a lot of it for me and just talking to tons of clients stems from like, if you don't really have a good base and you don't, right? Like in the back of your mind, you're like, this is not an area I'm super confident in. It is harder to stay consistent, right?
Yeah.
Because then you start second guessing yourself. Even if you went to the gym and you kind of lifted this and lifted that or ate that, you're like, am I doing the right thing? Like, is this kind of working? Did you have experience in the past, like running into that?
Yeah, I mean, I had experiences where I would go with like other people, or I would even just go by myself. But it's like you walk into the gym and I'm like, it's so overwhelming and don't really know where to start. And so it's like, so should I do this machine versus this machine? And just trying to figure out, like, you just waste so much time trying to figure out like
Hmm.
what should I do next, and what I shouldn't be doing versus what I should be doing. And so it was always like super overwhelming that I just like I would go for a couple weeks and then I'd be like, okay, like I don't want to do this anymore. It's not as
Yeah.
exciting or like as fun as I think it should be. And so I think with having a coach, like I'd walk into the gym, and I mean, the first couple 2 months, I would say it was still very overwhelming, but I at
Yep.
least had a plan. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, then I just need to find this machine, and then like I'll figure out what I need to do from there. But it's obviously been a lot easier, and like now I go in with a little bit more confidence of like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and like if I don't, I'll just ask questions, or like I'll just refer to the videos and kind of just see like what they're doing and see what I need to fix or improve.
Yeah. Well, on that, how's the app been? I mean, the app, the ease of use of the app, communicating with the coach. I mean, this is your first experience working with an online coach. I'd love to know how that's been for you.
I think it's been pretty good so far. Like at first it was a lot, like just trying to make sure that I tracked everything, or just
Yeah.
make sure that I asked all the questions that I needed to. But like once you start to build like a rapport and a relationship with your coach, it's just easier to be like drop questions whenever you can. And like he works with my schedule since it tends to be all over the place sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's nice that like it doesn't have to be where like I have to do this exactly on a certain time frame. Like I can work with my schedule and he's always willing to like adjust. And so it's nice that like I can make adjustments on the plan as well. Like if sometimes I'm like, okay, I really can't do that. Like I can adjust to maybe a different type of exercise, or like I can just communicate with him about that. Or like if my schedule changes drastically, like within the week, I can move my workouts around, and still be able to accomplish all that I like was asked to do of that week,
Yeah.
without having to like hassle him like every other day or things like that. So it's been nice to have that, and then I can just use it as a resource, like communicating with other people that are doing the same thing and working with the same program.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a power of doing the custom one-on-one coaching. We know who we work with, cops, firefighters, nurses, crazy schedules. And so the adjustability and you mentioned something, hey, I'm building rapport with my coach. We want you to build a collaborative relationship, and that takes time. I mean, like, just like if you started a new job, you're not best friends with your boss day one, okay? Or
Yeah.
coworkers. But like after a while, you're like, oh, this is the flow. And so anything new is a little bit crazy in the beginning, but if you stick with it, it actually becomes good. And it sounds like, I mean, I know you hit this streak prior to 6 months, but you're like, hey, things are just pumping. Like this is a machine. I'm going, I'm getting progress. I haven't missed like almost any workouts. And I know when Coach Mike shared your photos with the team, there were some pretty big improvements with your posture, body composition. Do you mind walking me through like that, where maybe where you were before and where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a big part of it was just like I wasn't doing anything for my physical health. So like I wasn't like obese or overweight or anything like that, but it was like I knew that there was changes that I needed to make or just improvements in my life, especially for like work reasons, like
Mhm.
being healthy enough to like keep up with all the responsibilities of my job. And so yeah, it's a little crazy just to look at those photos because like sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, I don't see that I've made a lot of changes, but I do notice it like just with like strength wise or yeah, like my posture is just like I start to see more definition in like my muscles. And so it's been nice to like look back at those photos and then look at like the most recent photos and kind of see like those changes because I know it is a little bit awkward like when you're doing these photos. I'm still a little bit like it's still a little bit weird for me to like do those every week, but it's like nice to see and like
Yeah.
being able to have like that information there for you so you can look back on versus like just assume like you're just seeing yourself on an everyday basis. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people don't like to set up a camera and, be here and turn and take the photo. I know it's a little bit weird, but I'm glad you have them. I mean, I've had clients that same thing. You look at yourself every day. It is very hard to tell. But I've had clients that they're like, I submit them, but I never do a comparison, most people.
Yeah.
And I've sent them and just in tears. They're like, I used to look like that, or I used to stand like that. I mean, it's just things where like we don't know because they're incremental improvements, but I mean, it adds up. Just like if you save X amount per month and then you look at that account 10 years later, you're like, wow, and so people get that concept. Sometimes with fitness, it's a little bit lost, but yeah, it sounds like you've made some awesome progress. Uh, what about, I think this is an important question I like to ask everybody. You can give your genuine feedback because when we're working with somebody online, and I've had online coaches, business coaches, fitness coaches, and I think the number one thing is like communication, customer service, you could feel if somebody cares, right? The caringness of the coach. How's that experience been working with Pursuit and Coach Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was like a drastic change from going from one coach to the other of like they're checking in every day or every other day or like just at least every week and then just like making sure like hey, if you have any questions, like contact me like it's not a big deal, just send them at whatever time of the day. Like usually my schedule's all over the place, so I can send Mike something at like 11 p.m. and like he'll respond by the next day if he's not awake. And so like that's where like you build this rapport. And so it's been nice to have him in the sense of like I can just ask him whatever at this point because probably like the first 2 months I was probably very intimidated to ask any sort of questions
Yeah.
or just kind of like modify my exercises. And I was still obviously getting the groove of like kind of just that communication, but it's obviously changed a lot
Yeah.
since then of the sense of like there's a workout, I'll try it, and if like it just doesn't work for me then I'll be like we just have to absolutely change that or like
Yeah.
modify that in any sort of sense. And he's always very like accommodating in that sense of like yeah, of course we can change this, like it doesn't have to just stick to whatever he like planned out for that day, like we can
Mhm.
obviously make changes. And like he's more receptive when I send a lot of like videos from time to time, that way he can see my form because like obviously I'm working in the gym but he can't see it like
Yeah.
in real time. So like just trying to give him as much information as I can of what I'm doing and then he can make like changes or modifications or he can just tell me like where I need to improve or if I'm even like if I'm just doing good in general. So it's nice to get like that feedback and like information from him.
Yeah, no, we have to have an open line of communication, the form breakdowns, the videos. Here's the thing too. In any area of life, it's hard to execute and execute well and consistently when we lack confidence. Just like at your job, you're like, I don't know if I'm supposed to. No, you're like, this is what I'm supposed to do, like this. This is how I do it. That's where we get efficient. And the problem with fitness is a lot of people have a lot of questions. They might not really think about it, but they're like, what do I eat? And how do I eat? And what do I do in the gym? And how do I do this? And so there's all these questions. So when they go in, they're like they're lacking the confidence. They can't execute. And so we want that open line of communication. And I have clients that every day, hey, Coach Stefan, boom, boom. I'm like, ask, please, because we're creating you to be more independent. We're creating you to be more confident. And I bet you the longer you do the program, the less you have to communicate with your coach. That's good. That's a good sign. It means you're becoming more independent and you've had your questions answered. And now guess what? You get to go execute and do it better and more consistent. And so it sounds like that's been kind of the developing path with you, which is great. Um, and yeah, Coach Mike's an awesome coach, and I'm on the coaches a lot too. Hey, we're online. We're not there. You have to be a good communicator. You have to be adjustable and flexible. You have to answer their questions. And I feel like we do a good job at it, but I appreciate you giving us a thumbs up. I guess the last question I would have, and I appreciate your time, would be, you know, if there was another, let's just say female that's in law enforcement, kind of maybe in the same boat as you, questioning, should I go get an in-person trainer? Should I do this? Like what would you tell that person if they're even contemplating like working with us?
I would say, like, for them just to consider it, like, go for, like, at least 6 months. Like, that was my start of, like, I'll go for 6 months, and if, like, it just doesn't work out, then it just doesn't work out, but at least I tried it, and, like, I have to at least give it my all to say that, like, yes,
Yeah.
I tried this and it doesn't work out. And so, like, yeah, it's gonna always be intimidating, even if it's, like, an in-person coach or, like, an
Yeah.
online coach, it's still, like, the intimidation of, like, you have to get comfortable with them, and you have to get comfortable, like, being in the gym and, like, being able to do those things, and I think that took me a while, just to get, like, adjusted, but I
Yeah.
think that coach that, like, Mike was able to, like, help me push forward in that sense of, like, being able to be like, "No, just try it," or, like, I know that I would be like, "I don't know that I can necessarily do that," but, like, I would say, like, this week I did some chin-ups, and, like, 6 months ago, there was no way in hell that I was gonna do them, and probably, like, 3 months ago, I didn't think I was confident enough to do them,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
like, now I can do them, and it was, like, so
Awesome.
empowering to see that sense of, like, you can actually get this done, and, like, it shows all the work that I've been putting in and all the work that Mike has been putting in, and so I would just, like, tell somebody, like, just go ahead and try it, like, if it fails, it fails, but, like, it might be the best thing that works out for you, and, like,
Yeah,
online coaching might just be better for you than, like, an in-person coach, like, some things just work better for other people,
for sure.
um, and I've got to experience that in the sense of, like, yeah, I was very intimidated, and I'm like, "I don't know if I really made the
Yeah.
right choice," and, like, signing up for an online coach, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's obviously, like, been able to help me, and I can obviously see the changes and the improvements and just, like, in my confidence and my body image, and I'm like, "This was a good choice." Like, yeah, it was very scary and intimidating at first, and, like, I didn't necessarily like it, but now I feel a lot more confident, like, I know what I'm doing, and, like,
Yeah.
I have that person if, like, I just get lost and I just refer back to Mike and be like, "Hey, I don't know how to do this," or "I don't understand this, like, I need you to break it down more than, like, what you've already done," and so it's nice to, like, have that person there.
Yeah, 100%. And hats off to you for having the courage, right? Number one. And number two, I love how you said, I thought I would give it 6 months. I think we live in this society where people are like 7 day free trial, like, and you honestly, you don't know. So I commend you because we do work with a lot of our clients, 6 months, 12 months. We are more of a transformational program. And I tell people like, you won't really know after 30 days. Like, and you have to get time to like get used to it. And then you put in the effort and like you said, if you do it for 6 months and you actually try, you gotta do it, right? And you putting in
Mhm.
your effort and it doesn't work, then whatever, it's not for you. But literally from my standpoint, I don't think we've ever had one client that came in, did what the coach said, tried hard, and didn't say, this is awesome. Not one out of six or 700 people. And it's because we do customize it. Like if it was a one size fits all, you're going to run into people like, this isn't my vibe. But it's like, okay, well, what's not your vibe? Is it the workouts? Okay, let's switch that. Is it your schedule? Oh, let's switch that. Nutrition, right? It's so collaborative and customized that that's generally why, and we're not perfect, but we really don't get people that don't make the success they want if they're willing to obviously put in the effort. They got to do what their coach says. And you're just a testament to that. And even though maybe you had like a little bit of slower start than you wanted, here you are 6 months in, making really good progress. Way more confident in the gym, right? Way more confident with your nutrition. You've learned a lot. And yeah, I think it's been great. And look forward to continuing for sure.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that was like the biggest thing for me is just like maybe in the if I had done like maybe 3 months, I don't know that I would have been like, okay, I'm gonna continue this. But it was just like I have to actually put the effort in, and like I have to see like where this would actually take me. And you can notice it once you like actually put all that effort in, that it does make a difference. And like Mike makes a lot of modifications for me, just what I need. And I think that that's really helpful. And had it been like, no, we can't really make these modifications, or it's not going to help you if you make these modifications, like I think that that would have been my thing of like, oh, maybe this isn't for me. But
Yeah.
like he's has that experience and that knowledge, and it's been
Yep.
very helpful for me.
Yeah. And that's why we don't really do programming only. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, what are the exercise? I get that question a lot. What are the exercises? I go, I don't know. I haven't talked to you yet. Right. You could do, even if it was a pre-built program, that's fine. We could take 50 people and they can all do a pre-built, but then let's see how it goes. Do you need to switch that? Is that, we have to do coaching with it, right? Which is guidance, education, answering your questions. Like that has to be part of it. Sure, some people can follow a cookie cutter program and they'll do just fine. But I could tell you from doing hundreds in my past that I modify them to some capacity, right? But I know how to do everything. For other people that don't, they're going to need to ask questions like, hey, well, should I do this and do that? And as those questions get answered and those light bulbs click, you become more confident. You're like, oh, okay, I got this. I didn't think I could do these things before. I didn't think I could do the pull up, but like, wow, I'm more capable than I thought. And just
Mhm.
building on that, like it's honestly invaluable. So I appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate your time. And like I said, I look forward to continuing to chat with you. And I'm sure whoever watches this will find it super valuable. So thank you.
You're welcome.